Writers make conscious decisions about which verb tense to use, then use it consistently. Let's practice making sure our verb tense is consistent. Make sure you have your Learn Zillion practice sheet out in front of you because you'll need it throughout this lesson. Let's review. In English, there are three main verb tenses: past, present, and future. We use past tense verbs to talk about actions or states of being that have already happened. We use present tense verbs to talk about actions or states of beings that are happening now, and future tense to talk about actions or states of beings that will happen. In order to determine what tense a verb is in, I sometimes use a little trick. I'll say, yesterday I, right now I, tomorrow I will, and I'll fill in the verb in each statement. For example, I might say, yesterday I talked, right now I talk, tomorrow I will talk. I'm usually able to figure out the verb tense by determining which sounds correct. For example, let's say I wanted to figure out what tense the verb bought is in. Yesterday I bought. That makes sense, so I know that this is a past tense verb. It just wouldn't sound right to say, right now I bought, or tomorrow I will bought. Let's do a quick practice. In each of these sentences, circle the verb or verb phrase and write down what tense it's in. Use the thought bubbles to help you. Press pause while you work and play to continue. Are you ready to check your answer? In sentence A, you should have circled practices and found that this verb is in the present tense. In sentence B, the verb phrase was will attend, which is future tense. Sentence C uses the verb made, which is a past tense verb. Here's a draft of a narrative that I've been working on. Read the drafts, and as you read, pay attention to the verb tenses. See if you notice verbs that are written in different tenses. A common mistake that writers make is switching back and forth between the present and past tense, and that's the problem that we're going to focus on in this lesson. Press pause to read and play to continue. Generally, when we're writing, we want to be consistent with our verb tense. That means that we should make sure that all of the verbs in a piece of writing are in the same tense. There are a few cases where it might be appropriate to switch to another tense, but unless you are doing so with a specific reason in mind, you should write in a consistent tense. Maintaining consistent verb tense keeps things clear for your reader. Let's look at an example. Once the sun went down, the fireworks show begins. This sentence is written incorrectly because it uses two verbs, went and begins, that are in different tenses. Using my thinking trick, I can tell that went is a past tense verb, yesterday I went, and begins is a present tense verb, right now he begins. The correct way to write this sentence would be like this. This time, both verbs are in the past tense. Once the sun went down, the fireworks show began. So the first step we want to do to make sure that our verb tense is consistent is determine what tense we should be writing in. So let's figure that out with our draft. Well, the topic of this paragraph is my 13th birthday party, so I'm describing an event that has already happened. Though writers sometimes use present tense to tell their stories in order to achieve a specific effect on the reader, they usually choose past tense when telling a story. I'm going to use past tense for this narrative. So now that I've determined what tense I should be writing in, my next step is to find the verbs in each sentence. Let's start by looking at my first three sentences here. In the first sentence, my verb is was. My second sentence also uses the verb was. Help me find the verbs in the third sentence. Pause the video and circle the verbs. Press play when you finish. You should have circled had ordered, present, and go. In case you're wondering, the reason I didn't mention to pick is because this is an infinitive, so it's acting as a noun in this sentence. So was is a past tense verb, because I can say, yesterday I was. We want to be writing in the past tense, so we don't need to change anything here. Had ordered is past tense as well. Yesterday I had ordered. I notice a problem here with the next two verbs, present and go. These verbs are in the present tense, and I know this because it doesn't make sense to say, yesterday I present, or yesterday I go. I would have to say, right now I present, and right now I go, indicating that these are in the present tense. So now I'm going to move on to step 3 in this process, which is to switch the verbs into the tense I need. Remember, we want to be writing in the past tense, so I'm going to rewrite the present tense verbs as past tense verbs. Instead of present, I want to use presented, and instead of go, I'm going to use went. Now, all of my verb tenses are consistent. Let's try the process again with my next 2 sentences. This time, I want you to think through a little more of this on your own. Pause the video and circle the verbs. Then change any present tense verbs into the past tense so our verb tense is consistent. Remember, to help determine what tense the verbs are in, try filling them in the blanks in the yesterday I, right now I, tomorrow I will statements. Press pause while you work and press play when you finish. Are you ready to check your answer? You should have circled argues, manage, found, had been grounded, and could not come. Your new sentence should look like this. Argues should now be argued, and manage should now be managed. The sentence after this one uses only past tense verbs, so we didn't need to change anything there. Now you might be wondering why we didn't change the verb come to came. The reason is because could not come is a verb phrase where could is already in the past tense. Let's take a look at the next 2 sentences. This time, see if you can try the process on your own. Circle the verbs in these sentences and rewrite them so that all of the verbs are in the past tense. Press pause while you work and play to continue. You should have circled asked, tells, had caught, was supposed, weren't, starts, got, and was supposed. Your rewritten sentences should look like this. Specifically, you should now have the verb told instead of tells, and started instead of starts. And that's it. Now we've used consistent verb tense throughout the paragraph. Pause the video and read the revised draft. Press play when you finish. Now it's your turn to give it a try. Read this draft and revise it using what you've learned in this lesson. Pause to work and play to continue. Now edit your own writing by making sure that you have used verb tense consistently. Now you know that writers make conscious decisions about verb tense, then use it consistently. This will make your writing much clearer.